My name's Jonathan Norman from the Major Projects Association, and I'm delighted to be interviewing Rachel Cooper, who is a Professor of Design Management and Policy at Lancaster University. And we're talking around the subject of inclusive design and the impact of creative and critical thinking, which is the theme for the Major Projects Association seminar later in the spring. So, Rachel, welcome, first of all.
Hello.
Let's start with the basics. Do you want to give me a quick explanation of inclusive design in the context of major projects?
I'll give you an introduction to inclusive design. I mean, traditionally, inclusive design has really, in the construction industry, in major projects, in infrastructure, has always been related to, you could say, ramps, enabling, people with less abilities, less physical and but not necessarily psychological, I have to say. It's always been physical, access to places and buildings, and making sure the buildings and the infrastructure are suitable for everybody. So that's the basics of inclusive design. In the United States, they usually call it universal design. So I suppose that's another recognition that it's designed for everybody. However, I think we should think beyond that. So I think that, everybody hears all the terms: inclusive design, universal design, sustainable design, green design, eco design, gender equality, etc. So really we should be thinking about how design embraces all these things in infrastructure, in major projects, right? And as we've got a world of digital, it's not just the design of the physical, it's the design of the digital infrastructures, and it's thinking about the way in which everybody will live their lives from cradle to grave. So we have young children now who are, in the digital world. They will expect buildings to talk to them. They will expect to go in and say, not just Alexa, play me this, but bedroom, play me this, and turn off the lights and turn on the lights. And that actually, funnily enough, means that it's more accessible to people that maybe can't switch on lights or, can't get to equipment or understand equipment. So there's a whole opportunity there. But at the other end of the spectrum, we have, another generation that are not used to that. So how do we in the future think about future-proofing the digital and the physical world and the world we inhabit through projects, through planning and designing projects and implementing them and making sure they are fit for purpose in the future? So I would say inclusive design is about including not just the present and the near future, but the long-term future, to make places sustainable and inclusive.
That's very good. That's very good. I'm going to go off piste here just for a moment, and off the script. I went to some, I guess it must be 10 years ago, I went to a number of sessions that Michael Bishart was running at the Design Council on designing for future policy. And it struck me at the time that there were two worlds and two sets of language. So there was the language of design and designers and the language of projects and project managers. And both would argue that they were delivering the future infrastructure, but it was almost like two tribes.
Yeah, and often there was an author years ago in the 80s, David Walker at the OU, who said, designers and managers are two tribes because it's the language. And I think in project management and major projects, a lot of it is about the delivery, the organizing the people, the resources and the systems to deliver. So it's managing that process. And of course, when they manage it, they're managing the design process as well. They're managing that process. Whereas if you come from a sort of design discipline, you are also thinking creativity about the role of design in creating the physical world. We have the designers in place, we have the engineers in place, we have all these people who are designing bits of it, but we have to make sure that they are all, it's more than the sum of the parts. They're actually thinking together, and they can see where they're taking it together. And I think at the moment, often it's much more deterministic. We have this project to deliver. We're going to set the teams in place. We're going to look at the budget. We're going to manage the timeline. And once we're doing it, we'll forget those intangible things about what it's supposed to be. One thing that gets me around that is, you can commission a building and an architect will design it, and then you get the project management and the designers in place. They will come in, and then you'll get the construction industry will pull it together. And that's why digital twins and BIM and modeling is going to become very important, because often you design this building or you design a city, and the design bit and the build bit is like from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock on a circle. But the use management and maintenance is like 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and then it degrades and it's destroyed or whatever.
Yes,
but
yes.
That piece from 2 till 10, as it were, use management and maintenance, lots of things are done to that infrastructure, that building, that is doesn't recognize the original design intentions. So
yes.
Whether it's inclusive, whether it's green, whether it's got solar panels or whatever, it's got attributes in it that were built from the original spec. Sometimes the retrofit or the use management maintenance loses that original intention. So project management of the use management and maintenance of something is as important as the creation of it. And we need to get that understanding of the holistic thinking about the inclusivity all the way through, so that we don't lose some of those qualities once you start retrofitting and knocking walls down and whatever. So there's a whole issue there around keeping that creative and critical thinking through the whole life course of a piece of infrastructure.
You've talked about the way in which, and we've talked about the way in which these two worlds of design and delivery, there's a tension between the two worlds of design and delivery. If we're going to bring them together, is there a place we can start? Where's the obvious starting point from your point of view?
Right, I think this is the big challenge, because I started doing research in the construction industry in 1994, and I did a whole lot of work on partnering, to help companies work together, whether it's the client, the designers, the deliverers. I did a whole lot of work on the design and construction process and managing that process. And, all the reports that have come out have talked about this language, this working together, this collaboration. And even now I'm on a board of some big, construction projects. And even now we have time delays, we have cost delays. And even now I can see that the client hasn't managed really to bottom their sort of specification, so that halfway through we start to rethink it, and then the cost goes up, and then the contractors are really talking to the architects. So I still think it may come from training. It may come from, we need to make sure that the various parties in some of these multi-party big infrastructure projects actually go some joint training before they start a project. Actually, they get to know each other personally. They get some joint training with the client, because you get also, even in what I call professional clients, but even with clients that what I call amateur clients that maybe have 1 or 2 major projects, they really don't know how to brief or develop the specification. They really don't understand what's going to happen to that specification and how many different parts are going to unpick it, or value engineer it, and lose some of the original, because it's both. A major project is both quantitative and qualitative, and we can do the quantitative quite well. We can't do the qualitative very well, and we've got to have different ways of doing the qualitative, I think. And that means the intangible things like inclusivity, but also the qualitative way of a narrative of a place being made tangible.
Yeah.
We should also look at things like the film industry.
Right.
You know, how do they bring a film together?